I'm Shay Russell for mining.com.au, and joining me today is Andrew Paterson, the Managing Director of Great Boulder Resources. Andrew, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Glad to have you back on board. Now, I know we're mere weeks away from some very exciting assay results, but I wanted to sort of get you on so we could talk about some of the excellent work that you've been doing to date. Now, it wasn't too long ago that you and I were at the RIU Resources Roundup, and I got sort of a more in-depth look of what's happening at your Saltbush prospect within the Sidewell project. And something that I think is quite interesting about there is your approach to exploration. And that is, in order to expand on the gold resource that you've got out here at the Sidewell project, you've decided to look at the chemical makeup of two nearby prospects, Ironbark and Mulga Bill. Tell me, before we get into the good news that's happening at Saltbush, what was it that you identified about those two prospects to make you think that this was a way to hunt for gold?
Well, the interesting thing about them from a technical perspective is that they're quite different. So, Mulga Bill, which we've spoken about a lot in the past, is an intrusive related system. So we think there's a big intrusion at depth somewhere that's driving that mineralisation. And as we head south, we're seeing that signature continuing. Now, the exciting thing, I guess, about intrusive related systems is they can be very big and very deep rooted. So, there's good reason to suggest that Mulga Bill will continue at depth and we get some really high grades there. Ironbark, on the other hand, is a fairly straightforward orogenic gold system, which means it's gold only for starters. It means it's most likely that that sort of system is structurally controlled and it has a different chemical signature. So we use geochemistry a lot, and we're now using those two examples as templates for finding more of those two styles of mineralisation, particularly as we head south. So heading south from Ironbark, we've been using auger geochemistry and identifying different signatures in the chemistry there. And Saltbush was the first one that we thought might be another Ironbark. And as we've drilled that, we've confirmed that both the chemical and geological setting are almost an exact analogue of Ironbark, and that's really exciting. Firstly, it's exciting to find more gold, and that's our first new discovery using this system. But secondly, it's exciting that our system's working, and so that's kind of a tick in the box or proof of concept.
So, for everybody who's not a geologist, tell me, you talk about how one system is showing up as an intrusive system and another one is structurally controlled. How do these have a similar chemical makeup that could help you identify where more gold might be to the south?
Well, specifically, for example, with Ironbark, there's an association of gold and arsenic, and to some degree, antimony. So gold in the soil profile is actually quite mobile. It moves around a lot more than people think in weathering, whereas arsenic seems to be more stable. And so if we find an arsenic antimony anomaly, then we drill underneath that, we hope to find another of these Ironbark style deposits. Mulga Bill, on the other hand, being intrusive related, one of the key pathfinders there has always been bismuth. And again, bismuth is really, really stable during weathering. So you can weather a rock all the way down to clay and the bismuth will stay behind. So that's really handy. And if there's an association between bismuth and gold, then if we find a lot of bismuth, we would assume that there's a good chance to find gold nearby. And so those are kind of two examples of the key elements that we use other than gold itself to find more gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody listening, that's a couple of PhDs and 20 years of experience talking to be able to boil that down to a really sensible and digestible, simple explanation of what you've just pointed out. So thank you very much for that. You make it look easy.
I'm a long way from being a PhD. I just have some very smart people to lean on.
Leverage their knowledge. That's what you do best. All right, moving forward, let's talk about the exploration program that's taken you out here. So obviously this was the chemical makeup. Now, as I said at the start of today's videos, we're mere weeks away from assay results, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. But sort of, this program has been completed in 3 different phases over the past few months. Walk me through what that's looked like.
Yeah, so firstly we go in with air core drilling and we start with this kind of surface anomaly, which is just generated from auger data. Then we test that with air core drilling because that's really cheap. So you can drill that fairly quickly at minimal expense, confirm that there's gold there, and then we come back with the RC rig and we just start to carefully step out and track the mineralisation along strike. So we have to work out which direction it's going, and I mean that's not too hard because they mainly run north-south in that part of the world. Which direction it's dipping and what angle it's dipping at, and then we start to extrapolate that along strike. So the reason for doing it in phases is just so as not to waste drill meters and obviously money. We've now tracked it over about 300 meters. It's continuing particularly to the northwest, and we're hoping that this third round of drilling will extend it further northwest. So Saltbush is basically from surface, which we identified early on, and so therefore, you know, it looks like it's going to be another deposit, another discovery, and another resource coming into the inventory this year.
Now, I know the Sidewell project already has over 660,000 ounces of gold on its books, and you're on your way to expanding that. Tell me, with the assays results around the corner, what can we look for?
Yeah, the plan is, I guess, two-pronged, and first part A of that is to continue doing this discovery phase where we're testing these new targets, building our resource inventory towards 1 million ounces. The second part of the program is to do more technical work on Mulga Bill and Ironbark, resource conversion from inferred to indicated, metallurgical studies, and all of that is generating data to go into scoping studies next year. So on the one hand, growing the resource, but on the other hand, getting it ready for economic studies.
Andrew, you got a lot of work happening on in the background. I really appreciate you for your time. I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for being here.
Thanks very much.